Okay, I get distracted by my phone. This video is going to be about blocks, how to create them, how to use them, and insert them into your drawings. Now, a block is a predefined file. Think of it as a catalog or a library of objects that you could use in your drawing to speed things up. To give you some examples of them, on your keyboard, or open up an AutoCAD file here, and on your keyboard type ADC. I got to activate AutoCAD. ADC, which is the command for the Autodesk Design Center. Okay. Once it opens, have no idea where it's going to go to in your browser, depending upon where you were last. So if yours doesn't look like this, I think if you click the home button, it should take you right to that file, which is under sample AutoCAD 2023, under Autodesk, under program files. All right, so let's look at the English US, and then we got the Design Center, and we got dynamic blocks. Now, let me explain regular blocks first. And here are the different ones that are already set up in AutoCAD, and probably the most obvious for you to understand. There's kitchens, there's landscaping, home space planning, house designer. There's several of them that are already done here. So let's look at house designer. Now this is an AutoCAD file. If I were to open it, it would have all these blocks in it. And so now we go to blocks. And these are blocks that are already created in this one drawing file and saved. And so I can bring them into my drawing. So let's bring a toilet in. Okay. Now I'm going to minimize that. Okay, and so there's a toilet. Now, it brought it in. I'm on layer 1, which is green. Okay, and so it assigned it to that layer. And the reason it did that is because the block itself was created on layer 0. Okay, so with the default black-white color by layer, the color is set by layer, but the layer color is the black-white. If you create a block on some other layer or with some other color and line types, when you bring them into a drawing, it will not take on the characteristics of the layer of the new drawing. It will stick with the original. But there's your block. You select it. You notice there's one handle on it, and that is the insertion point. Okay, so you got to remember that. Okay, so where'd my design center go? I guess I closed it. Oh, no, I minimized it. And there it is right there. Okay. Okay. So there's lots of different ones here that you can use. So let's go back to dynamic blocks. And let's look at architectural dynamic, and the most obvious one is going to be doors and windows. So let's bring in a door, and we just click and drag it. Now you see we've got some other arrows and things here because a dynamic block can be resized, and it's created with certain sizes already. And so if I come over here in my properties and I look at the door size, I've got a range of inches, 24 inches, 28 inches, 30, 32, 36, 40. So I can change that to a 36-inch door. I can also change my wall thickness, which was this little bit right here, okay? And I can change the hinge side or the swing, okay? I can also change those up here. There, and you see I can pick up the preset sizes. That's how a dynamic block works. And to show you another one, lots of people in the assignment for this week screw this thing up. Let's see, where am I looking for? My apologies, I had to stop the recording and go take care of a couple of issues. But we're back. Okay, so dynamic blocks. There's several different types in here. In the civil folder here, you can see there's some pipes and manhole covers, parking sections, civil related things. Oh, where did we end up here? Electrical, mechanical is like nuts and bolts, anchor rods, okay, things like that. Uh, annotation. Annotation here, you've got some north arrows and stuff and that you'll use in one of the projects. Okay, you can use these dynamic ones, or you could use some of the standard ones. Either one is fine. I can't remember who it was. Yes, vehicles. I want to show this one because a lot of people will put in their project, they put a vehicle in and they leave it the wrong orientation. So if you bring in a vehicle and you select it, come down here into the properties and you see you have sports car, sedan, and truck, but you've got side, top, and front and rear views, okay? So when you do your project for this week, be sure and change the orientation of the car. Okay, enough on how to use Design Center to get there. How to create a block. Okay, so I've drawn this object. I put one corner of it at 0, 0. It's on the 0 layer. If you particularly need a certain line type in the block, a hidden line, a dashed line, you can certainly go ahead and do that. Okay, but you'll notice it is on the 0 layer and everything is by layer. So now to create the block, I go here. I'm on the home tab in the little block pull down, and I want to go create. And I need to give it a name, and I don't know, I'm going to call it widget. And I need to pick a base point. Now the base point is what you would use to insert it as, and it needs to be something I would say common to the object. Like on the toilet, it was the center of the rear of the toilet that would go against the wall. The doors, it was like one corner of the door against the door jamb. You can adjust that later, but you need to pick something. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick that corner. And then you pick your objects. So I'm going to go select objects. I'm going to select everything and press enter. Now, it's in inches because I'm using an imperial template to start with. So when you're creating blocks, you need to differentiate between inches or millimeters because you can't put inch objects into a millimeter drawing or they'll be, 25 times bigger than what your stuff is, unless everything is the right size anyway to start with. I mean, you can use metric blocks in imperial drawings. Just you got to make sure that everything's drawn correctly. Under behavior, annotative, that would be as if your block has a symbol, um, like the north arrows, that would need to be annotative based on your stuff. If it's something that would be scaled, you want to scale it uniformly, whatever. Allow exploding. Yeah, go ahead and leave that one checked. And now we tell it OK. And now we have a block. You see, when I hover over it, everything selects together. So now I'm going to save this drawing. Just for giggles, I'm just going to save it in my documents there. Okay, now then, in a drawing here where I'm going to use that, I can go here, I can go insert block, and if you've set up libraries, okay, if you use a lot of blocks, then you can set up I need to get to where I saved it at. Probably at the very end. Yep, widget block, open. Okay, now you see this puts in a set of flyout tabs right here. And this is my blocks palette. And so if I've created a library of blocks, then I've got them here. I've got recent, I've got favorites, current drawing, something that's already inserted into my existing drawing. And so I select that and click and drag it in here. And then I dropped it. Okay. And you see there's my base point, so I can use that to select it and move it. Notice that it takes on the color of the layer that it's on, that I inserted in, instead of it being white. I'm going to change it to a different layer, and you see it takes on the properties of that particular layer. Okay, now I can, after I've brought this thing in, I can explode it, and then it goes back to its native individual parts. I've got an arc, I've got a polyline, a line, I got a polar array there. And so everything went back to its original colors and original layer. Okay, now another way to deal with blocks is through the Design Center. So we still got it open. And when we in our 1125 class, when we dealt with the I'm stumbling, when we were dealing with the windows, the easiest way to deal with that kind of stuff is to open up, instead of looking at folders here, we go to open drawings, and you have your window file drawing open, and in your drawing that you're going to insert them into, it makes it a lot easier to find them, and you can just click and drag and place them in that way. And after you've created, it's still a block, I can edit it by coming here. I can go edit, and it opens it in the block editor. And for a lot of normal things, it's no big deal, but you get all these other tools over here for making dynamic blocks. And so I can do lots of changes here and add the parameters to make it a dynamic block, which we're not going to mess with that in this class. Okay, so that pretty much covers dealing with blocks that you'll need to know to finish out this week of the semester. Okay, if you've got questions, send me an email or come by the lab. Okay.